I'm WIllis Johnson with the JBJ Management Podcast, and today our guest is Chris McLaughlin. He is the CEO, big guy at DFW Airport. Chris, thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This is I don't want to spend a lot of time on DFW. Maybe not. I want to spend a little time on Chris and Chris getting to DFW Airport. How did you get here? Where did you come from?
Yeah.
Where is home? Tell me about all of that.
Yeah, well, so I've been here for about 4 years. I moved to DFW as the Executive Vice President for Operations. I held the same role at the Denver International Airport. I've been in aviation for about 25 years. In terms of how I got here...
In Denver?
Well, mostly in Denver. I've done stints in Washington, D.C., out of Boston, out of New York, actually 2 stints in D.C., mostly out of Denver. In a variety of roles, I had national responsibility, so airports all over the country. But my wife, who is a Denver native, was never going to leave. And then, no, never. But it's interesting, right? Because the opportunity in DFW was unique on a couple fronts. One is DFW is an airport known around the world. So is Denver, though. But during COVID, which is when we moved down here, Texas, North Texas really was appealing, as we know, appealing to a lot of people from a lot of regions.
Yeah.
But my family also found the appeal. I had a son who was a high school football player at the time, a daughter who was just getting into high school, and then my wife said, "Let's give it a shot." So we took a chance and moved down here. And I have to tell you, from a family perspective, North Texas is all it's cracked up to be. My family just loves it here. My daughter's now a freshman at TCU. My wife has a good network of friends. I've got a great opportunity at the DFW Airport. And we've just really, really learned how special it is to live in the state of Texas.
In spite of how hot it can be.
Well, that was an adjustment for sure. This year's been a little bit more mild. Definitely an adjustment, but we bought a house with a pool, and kind of the kids enjoyed that, and we've found a way to get used to it.
Do you find though? Mike Rawlings, former mayor of Dallas, always talked about DFW Airport being the economic engine for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Do you feel that? Do you feel that pressure? Is that something around your neck that you feel you have to perform?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, but I don't feel it as pressure as much as I feel it as inspiration. It is undeniable what we represent in terms of an economic engine for the region. In fact, we're just right now doing every 5 years we update our economic impact study, and we've just commissioned that work to be done right now. So we'll get new numbers in the next couple months. But as you know, we contribute to about 635,000 jobs in the region. It's about $38 billion in payroll alone that we contribute. $24 billion a year in visitor spending. $5 billion a year in tax revenue, 3 to the state, 2 to the local municipalities. And so, yeah, we have tremendous pride in how we partner with the region. But in terms of kind of weight around my neck, I understand the burden, but I see it, again, more as inspiration. And it makes me excited to get up every morning and do what we can do to support the community that we live in. Again, we feel so incredibly welcomed being here that even though we've only been here for 4 years, myself and my family are committed to doing whatever we can for this region.
And DFW Airport just turned
51
last
now.
year. Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of celebration going on. But as those celebrations were taking place, I was thinking, Chris, about 1974 when the airport opened. It reminds me a little bit of Denver. The Denver airport was out there, and it was so far away from Denver, I felt like I needed to catch a flight to get to Denver. That's how far the airport was.
Yep.
Well, DFW was out there too.
Yep.
But there's been so much economic development and change around the airport. Is that where this economic engine comes from? Is this because people are building up around the airport, or what?
Well, yeah, and I think your analogy to Denver's the right one. And Denver modeled itself after DFW, not in terms of the terminal layouts, but in terms of understanding the benefit of securing a large mass of land.
Right.
DFW is 27 square miles. Denver's 53 square miles, believe it or not, of land. What's happened at DFW that makes it unique and special versus like a Denver or a Dulles back east is that the community has truly grown around DFW, whereas in other locations, the airport represents the end of the line.
Right.
At DFW, it is the center point. And so both a couple of the factors that have really driven the growth, one is, we serve 268 unique cities out of DFW, which makes it really easy to come and go. We think that's one of the reasons why companies are moving to this area, because it's so easy for them to access their customer base. It's so easy for their clients to come in and see them. It makes it work. And then from a commerce hub, where we can land airplanes from all over the globe and then easily connect, for example, cargo from South America through DFW all the way back to Asia has been, over the years, a successful route for us. We've struggled some in COVID with that route, but we believe that represents a strong future for us. So we are a center point. You can be anywhere in the U.S., maybe with the exception of like a Seattle, in under 4 hours from DFW, under 4 hours anywhere in the continental United States. So we truly offer connectivity and ease to customers, and I think that is something that inspires growth in the North Texas area.
What does Love Field mean to you?
Well, Love Field, on a tough operational day, Love makes our operation tougher. It's a busy airspace. And I mean that with kind of, no pun intended, but with love in my heart, right? I mean, we see them as a partner. We like to work with them. We recognize, though, that DFW, obviously from an international reach perspective and from a global connectivity, we have a bit more to offer. And we do acknowledge that the airspace can be congested, and sometimes we and Love are fighting for the same airspace, which can make it difficult.
But it's Love that makes Dallas, Fort Worth even more attractive, because you have two viable airports.
That's fair. I mean, there are a number of, if you think about this being the fastest growing metroplex in the country, where right now we're still behind Chicago at 4.
Right.
But then you think about New York, you think about LA, you think about Chicago, all have multiple airports, at least 2.
Yeah. So when you're not at the airport, what do you do?
Well, I think about the airport. No, I mean, so I'm the father of a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old. My son is a football player at a small college back east. I get to as many of his games as I can. My daughter, again, has been such an active part of our life. She's at TCU, so we're going to go visit her for dinner on Wednesday night. And, the kids are an important part of our life. And then I've got a beautiful wife that has been more mom than wife for the last 18, 19 years. We're empty nesters now, so we're just getting back to know each other a bit and having a fun time doing that. Is it constantly on your mind about DFW Airport? So we strategically chose to live close, which means that I watch every airplane come and go. So it is hard to get it off my mind. But as I said earlier, and I mean this really sincerely, like people ask me what keeps me up at night, and the reality is, and by the way, after being an ops guy for 25 years. I hate to admit this, but I sleep better right now than I did as an ops guy. My phone doesn't ring as much at 2 a.m. as it used to. So what I find is I find myself waking up really early with things on my mind, but not things that are worrisome, things that are exciting. Like, what do I get to do today to move the ball down the field? And that really, really has been an exciting. It's about this week is 100 days on the job. And what I can say is those 100 days have been some of the most exciting, energetic days of my entire career.
So where does the airport rank, and who does the judging? I hear DFW is either 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on who's ranking.
Yeah.
Where does it rank?
Yeah, it depends on the number. If you want to measure us by enplanements, by the number of people that fly through the airport, we rank second in the country behind Atlanta and third in the world behind Atlanta and Dubai. So that's a pretty good stat. Some would measure us based on operations. And if you measure based on operations, we rank third. We're behind Atlanta and Chicago. But if you measure us based on total destinations served, we're number one in the country. You can get to more destinations out of DFW without connecting than anywhere else in the country. And I personally think that's the most important measurement. If you think about this for a second, you're having a casual conversation with someone. They rarely are going to say, "Hey, Willis, how often do you get to New York?" What they're going to say is, "Have you ever been to New York?" And so to me, the number of destinations that we serve is even more important than the number of passengers that we serve. Obviously, I'm grateful that we're in the top 2 domestically for passengers served.
Right.
But I love the fact that our customers can get anywhere from DFW, literally across the world.
What is it about Atlanta that keeps them 1 or 2? I don't like the Atlanta airport. I don't like Atlanta. What is it? What is it? What does Hartsfield-Jackson have that we don't have?
They're closer to Europe. They've got a great East Coast connections. They have a lot of wide body service over the Atlantic. We have quite a bit of wide body service, but we also have quite a bit of regional service that again hits all those markets that are within 4 hours of us. So aircraft gauge does make a difference in terms of the number of passengers that you can serve. And Atlanta, by the way, is an airport that doesn't have competition in its market. Right? There is no Love Field in Atlanta. Interesting, right?
I guess I thought about that.
Yeah.
Because Love Field is approaching somewhere around, 16, 17, 18 million enplanements. And so if they weren't here.
Those enplanements would likely, the majority of those enplanements would likely shift to DFW. I mean, some might not. But look, Love Field is, again, I want to be very clear about this. Love Field is here to stay. We don't see Love as a competitor. We do a lot of partnering with them. And we think that it's probably net a better thing for the community to have 2 viable airports than just one. And as I said, sometimes that adds complications, especially from an airspace perspective. But for the community, it is probably the right balance for us.
Do you think that the average person in Dallas or Fort Worth knows that DFW Airport is basically the number 3 airport in the world? Atlanta, Dubai, in the world. Yeah. Does that, you ever go home and say, "Oh my God"?
So a number of people do know it, but you're right. I mean, in the community, I think a lot of, especially people that have kind of been raised and here, don't necessarily understand that their airport that started in the middle of nowhere grew from sort of being regional to international, but now is really on the world stage in terms of largest and most effective airports.
And you're spending a ton of money. You're going to spend 10, 12, $13 billion over the next few years.
12 billion. Better not be 13. No, 12 billion is what we've got slated to spend, split between new projects, split between upgrading our existing infrastructure. So a Terminal C that is still as old as the airport, built in 1974. I was about to say,
that's the original terminal, Chris.
And
but you fly a lot out of that.
Well, we do. American does. They prefer it. It's located well. It's easy for them to connect through that terminal. But we're, as you know, in the process of upgrading it. And by upgrading it, I mean taking it down to the studs, actually beyond the studs, and rebuilding it 1/3 at a time. When we're done, it will be a brand new Terminal C. And it won't look like D necessarily in terms of actual look and feel, but from an iconic perspective, it will be a world-class terminal. Now, Terminal F, which is a greenfield terminal, when that's done, that will truly be iconic. It will add international gate capability, 8 wide-body international gates, 31 total. American Airlines will operate across the whole terminal, and there's features to it that will really stand out and be special for the visitors that travel through that terminal.
So when is Terminal G going to happen?
Well, let's get one done at a time. F is going to take us through 2031. That's the good news. We actually believe that when we're done building it, we will have all of our gates spoken for. Often you build airports with future gate capability. We think that when we're done with F, that we will actually have every gate filled, which means we do have to consider next options after that. But we've got to take this kind of one step at a time. We just made the decision a few months ago to move from building half of F to building all of it. So we've got to digest that, get through the design phase, get a little further down the building and see how traffic comes along. But we do expect to continue to see growth here in North Texas.
$38 billion. How does a person who lives in East Dallas or in Como and Fort Worth or in Arlington, how do they benefit from that $38 billion?
Well, and the 38 is direct payroll. So they benefit very specifically because they're, and when I say direct payroll, not necessarily direct to the airport, but
Sure.
but some entity tied to work from the airport. So that's direct payroll. And so we think that, we're an entity that really does help the community grow and thrive. And that's through both job creation as well as, some cool offerings that we have, for example, is the bridge in Terminal A, Bonton Farms that's opening a location in Terminal A next summer. We're doing work with a contractor called Unica that provides janitorial services for us in one of our facilities that works with the Regional Black Contractors Association Second Chance program to provide employment opportunities. So how we give back to the community is varied and vast, but from obviously established contractors to that young man who's trying to get his life back together.
Wow.
We run the gamut in terms of support.
Is that just something you feel? Is that institutionalized at the airport? What makes that happen?
Well, certainly I do feel it, but I can't take credit. These were initiatives that have been going on at the airport for some time. One person who deserves a tremendous amount of credit is my executive vice president for revenue management, Ken Buchanan. Has an absolute heart for the community and for helping to provide opportunities and to help grow our community. So yeah, I'm grateful to have inherited the position that we take at DFW, but others before me are responsible for who we are today.
What happens next, Chris? This is in day 100. What happens over the next 10 years for Chris McLaughlin?
Well, I mean, hopefully step one is get it right. I think the next 5 years are fairly well laid out in terms of work that's before us, and in this $12 billion that we've talked about really does represent about 6 more years of work. Developing with some of our international flying partners, obviously with American, who's been such an incredible partner to grow the airline base as we continue to grow. But then over the next 10 years and over the next 50 years, I absolutely see myself as a steward. And what I tell all of our folks is we have to take care of this asset. We compare DFW all the time to Manhattan. The airport is the size of Manhattan. And one of the things that I think about when I think about Manhattan is Central Park. So think about this vast landscape. Think about the value of the buildings in Manhattan. And yet over centuries, intentional decisions were made to keep the park natural, vacant.
Yeah, right.
And so when I think about our Manhattan DFW, I think about how do we make sure that we preserve this asset for future generations to benefit from, but also enjoy. How do we preserve the iconic nature? How do we foster an iconic nature at DFW? How do we preserve critical assets like the Bear Creek watershed that comes through our property?
Yep.
How do we protect against erosion? How do we make sure that our airfield, that our runways are on stable footing? And all these decisions take careful thought and planning over a 50-year cycle. And I'm heavily invested in the resilience of our airport. How do we make sure that we're as healthy when we turn 100 as we were when we turned 50.
When I think about Sean Donahue, I think about orange. Because when Sean came, I guess 11, 12 years ago, the airport's color was blue.
Yeah.
Sean changed it to orange. What is Chris going to do that's going to make me remember that you were here?
Yeah, well, the orange, I'm kind of I don't know if I can say this. I love a lot about Texas, but I am a Broncos fan. I know you've got a personal affiliation there,
and it's orange.
But orange kind of fits
it does.
A little bit. But I'm not so worried about the color scheme for us. I think about, for me, what I've contributed to in aviation over my 25 years tends to be around things like facilitation, improving a seamless experience for customers. When I was at the TSA, I had the opportunity to play a pivotal role in building the TSA PreCheck program, for example. So things like that are really exciting for me. One area that I don't know if I'm ready to say this publicly yet, but in terms of creating a seamless experience for customers, I think that part of my legacy will be how people transit through our airport, including things like the control plazas that cause you to stop when you come and leave the airport. I think you'll see those look very different in 5 years. Those types of things I think I will contribute to, but more than, again, brand, I'm more focused on the operational integrity and the long-term resilience of the airport.
We are really blessed and excited about having you as the CEO of the airport. Thanks for being here today, first of all, and then thanks for being in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Well, thanks for having me. And one thing I'll say is, as Dallas and Fort Worth have been so incredibly welcoming, it is a joy every single day to be here. Thank you for your time today.
Chris McLaughlin, he's the CEO of DFW Airport, JBJ Management Podcast. Let's talk about it.